The brutal rise and fall of Queen Jezebel. Introduction. Sowing seeds of mystery. The flickering candlelight casts long, dancing shadows across ancient texts, illuminating tales of power, piety, and profound depravity. Tonight, we delve into a narrative that has echoed through the corridors of history and faith for millennia. The story of a queen whose very name became synonymous with wickedness. Was Jezebel merely a victim of patriarchal bias, a misunderstood foreign queen asserting her will? Or was she, as Scripture so starkly portrays, a force of unbridled evil, a catalyst for Israel's spiritual downfall? Join us as we journey into the heart of a kingdom teetering on the precipice to uncover the brutal rise and calamitous fall of Queen Jezebel and to ponder the enduring lessons her legacy imparts. The journey of deep discovery. The historical and cultural context, a kingdom divided. To truly comprehend the maelstrom that Jezebel unleashed, we must first transport ourselves to the geopolitical and religious landscape of the 9th century BCE. The unified kingdom of Israel, once glorious under David and Solomon, had fractured into two rival states, Judah in the south, clinging to the Davidic line and the worship of Yahweh in Jerusalem, and Israel in the north, a volatile realm plagued by dynastic struggles and spiritual apostasy. It was into this northern kingdom, under the reign of King Ahab, that Jezebel arrived. She was the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, a powerful Phoenician state renowned for its maritime trade and, crucially, for its fervent polytheism, particularly the worship of Baal and Asherah. Ahab's marriage to Jezebel was a political alliance intended to solidify economic and military ties with Phoenicia. However, this union came at an immense spiritual cost. Unlike previous foreign wives who might have practiced their religions privately, Jezebel brought her gods with her, not as personal deities, but as state-sanctioned objects of worship. She arrived not merely as a bride, but as a zealous missionary for Baalism, armed with royal authority and an iron will. This was not a subtle infiltration. It was a frontal assault on the monotheistic foundations of Israelite faith, setting the stage for an epic clash of divine allegiances. Decoding the Scripture, a trail of blood and idolatry. The narrative of Jezebel is predominantly found in the books of 1 and 2 Kings, where she emerges as the chief antagonist to the prophets of Yahweh. Her arrival is marked by a dramatic shift in Israelite religious practice, and Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord more than all who were before him. He took as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. He erected an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he built in Samaria, and Ahab made an Asherah. Ahab did more to provoke the Lord, the God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him. 1 Kings 16:33-3. Here, the Scripture lays bare the core of her destructive influence. Ahab, weak-willed and easily swayed, actively embraced Baal worship at Jezebel's instigation. She not only encouraged it but also established it officially, maintaining 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah, who ate at her royal table. 1 Kings 18:19. This wasn't mere tolerance. It was state sponsorship of idolatry, a direct affront to the covenant God had made with Israel. Her most infamous acts, however, reveal a ruthless cruelty and contempt for Israelite law and life. The confrontation with Elijah on Mount Carmel, 1 Kings 18, stands as a monumental test of deities, a public spectacle where Yahweh unequivocally demonstrated his power over Baal. Yet, even after this divine display, Jezebel remained unrepentant, sending a death threat to Elijah, forcing him to flee for his life. 1 Kings 19:1-3. Her resolve was unshaken, her idolatrous fervor undimmed. Perhaps the most chilling episode, illustrating her utter disregard for justice and individual rights, is the story of Naboth's vineyard. 1 Kings 21. Naboth refused to sell his ancestral land to King Ahab, citing Mosaic law. Jezebel, observing Ahab's sulking, mocked his weakness and took matters into her own hands. She orchestrated a false accusation of blasphemy against Naboth, using corrupt elders and false witnesses, leading to his stoning and the confiscation of his vineyard. This act was not merely land grabbing, it was a blatant subversion of Israelite legal and moral principles, a calculated murder sanctioned by royal decree, revealing the depths of her depravity and her absolute tyranny. The hidden theological meaning, the clash of kingdoms. Beyond the historical narrative, Jezebel's story serves as a profound theological allegory. She represents the quintessential opposing force to Yahweh's covenant with Israel. Her actions embody the relentless spiritual warfare faced by God's people. The establishment of Baal worship was not just about bowing to another god. It was about embracing a fertility cult deeply intertwined with prostitution and child sacrifice, practices utterly abhorrent to Yahweh. Jezebel's reign signifies the spiritual compromise that threatened to entirely obliterate Israel's distinct identity as God's chosen nation. She sought to dismantle the covenant, replacing the living God with dead idols, justice with corruption, and purity with depravity. Her persecution of Yahweh's prophets was an attempt to silence the very voice of God within the land, eradicating any challenge to her religious hegemony. In a deeper sense, Jezebel embodies the spiritual principle of seduction and corruption, leading God's people away from truth and into ruin. She is a stark reminder of the constant temptation to forsake God for worldly power, pleasure, and prosperity, even at the cost of one's soul. Controversies and theories. A villain or a scapegoat? While Scripture presents a uniformly negative portrayal, some modern interpretations offer alternative perspectives on Jezebel. Could she have been a strong, capable queen, demonized by Israelite historians for her foreign origins and her challenge to a patriarchal religious system? Was her zeal for Baal merely a reflection of her own faith, which she genuinely believed to be superior, or at least equal, to Yahweh worship? These theories often highlight the cultural clashes of the era. From a Phoenician perspective, Baal worship was a legitimate and powerful religion, and Jezebel's actions might have been seen as the appropriate behavior of a queen promoting her ancestral gods. Her defiance in the face of Elijah could be interpreted as steadfastness rather than stubborn wickedness. Furthermore, the narrative is undeniably written from a Yahwistic viewpoint, making it inherently biased against her. Some scholars suggest that the intensity of the condemnation might be amplified to serve a theological purpose, to solidify the narrative of Yahweh's exclusive sovereignty and to warn against syncretism. However, even acknowledging these interpretive lenses, the textual evidence of her direct involvement in the murder of Naboth, her persecution of prophets, and her active promotion of child-sacrificing cults remains. These actions transcend mere cultural differences or religious disagreements, pointing to a character willing to commit grave injustices and atrocities in pursuit of her goals. While history often features complex figures, the biblical portrait of Jezebel, even through the eyes of her critics, is one of a leader whose actions resulted in profound suffering and spiritual decay. Conclusion. An eternal echo. Jezebel's story culminates in a brutal end, fulfilling Elijah's prophecy that dogs would devour her flesh in the territory of Jezreel. 1 Kings 21:23. Her gruesome death, thrown from a window and trampled by horses, with only her skull, feet, and palms remaining, served as a stark, visceral demonstration of divine judgment. 2 Kings 9:33-7. Her legacy is not merely one of historical villainy, but a timely theological warning. Jezebel stands as an enduring symbol of spiritual apostasy, ruthless power, and unrepentant defiance against God's will. She reminds us of the insidious nature of idolatry, not just in bowing to statues, but in elevating anything power, pleasure, wealth, or even self-will above the true God. Her life prompts us to ask, what Baals do we allow to enter our lives and our societies today? What temptations, subtle or overt, seek to usurp the rightful place of the divine within our hearts? The brutal rise and fall of Queen Jezebel is more than an ancient tale. It is a resonant echo through the ages, calling us to vigilance, discernment, and unwavering fidelity. It compels us to reflect on the choices we make, the influences we embrace, and the spiritual battles we must fight, ensuring that the light of truth prevails over the encroaching shadows of deceit.